Doug Ottewill is here from Mile High Sports.
Welcome in, Doug.
The magazine.
Let's get the
radio station.
dressed up.
How you
the
doing?
TV. What else is there involved in this conglomerate, this mega...
The internet. I think it's going to stick, so we went with it.
The internet, you think?
Maybe.
Is it
Worth
like,
exploring.
is it like
Good
plastics?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Plastics,
Nice
Ben.
internet.
Plastics.
Yeah. All right, Doug. Well, look, you've heard us talk up here, right?
I have.
What are your impressions of last night?
I mean, it was a great win. I mean, I grew up here. I was born and raised in Colorado. And this, in my mind, this is kind of a signature win. I mean, you've got all the elements. You got snow. You got a comeback win.
Right.
You've got a guy potentially taking the reins of this franchise. And you beat the 10-0 Patriots. So it's not just a win. It's a huge win. So, I mean, I think DeMarcus Ware's tweet was the best. It was just, this is great for football on Sunday night. It just doesn't get any better. I mean, this is the kind of game you remember as a kid where you're watching and, on the old grainy boob tubes and, snow on the ground, confetti in the air. Like, that was like that.
Well, there are things that as you talked about, you never forget. I mean, I will never forget Demaryius Thomas in overtime against the Steelers.
Yeah,
Tim Tebow pass, and the place goes crazy, and they all run around. They high-five the fans, and that is a signature moment I'll never forget. This is one of those, I think, as well, Art.
No doubt about it. And to do it on the primetime stage, we had snow. I mean, what a great setting. Both primetime games this year, they've risen to the occasion.
Oh, yeah.
This team loves to play on that kind of a stage, I think.
They really do. And it's funny because the networks always go to the mountain shot. Like, here, kid, throw on this John Elway jersey and ski down.
Right, yeah.
But they didn't need it.
No.
They got snow on the field. It was just fantastic. I mean, you really can't ask for more in terms of just being a fan of the game.
And then we talked about this last week, was that, okay, Brock beat the Bears and was great, threw a couple of touchdown passes, didn't turn the ball over, which is key. And then you get here against the Patriots. He had a pick, as we talked about it, but it was a batted ball, so it wasn't actually a bad throw.
Right.
So he protected the ball in bad conditions, and they ran the ball in bad conditions. And that's the blueprint for what this offense is supposed to look like.
Yeah, and I have to take some ownership. Last week I came in and I said, hey, neither quarterback's going to beat the Patriots. And he did. And I think a guy has to get a ton of credit for that. Look, through 3 quarters, he wasn't great.
No.
7 points on the board, 128 yards in the air, and a pick. By any standard, any quarterback in the league, people are going to say, oh, he's pretty average. But what matters to me is that he was clutch.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, clutch kind of trumps all. And he was fantastic down the stretch, and that's all you can ask of your guy, especially in those conditions.
That 83-yard drive in the fourth quarter,
Have to
with
score.
a minute 9 left, throws a touchdown pass. I mean, that to me, that we talk about Peyton Manning coming through in the fourth quarter, the 2-minute drill when he needs to do it. Brock did that last night.
Yeah, and in overtime, he audibled to the run that won it.
Yeah,
so, I mean, you're talking about a guy who gets it. He's recognizing the defense. He's seen Peyton Manning enough to know, hey, this is the way I need to respond. If they do X, Y, and Z, we're going to counter. And he did it in the clutch. I keep thinking, we're not done with the Patriots. Okay, we're going to see them again. To beat them
It could be there, too.
in a tight game, that's got to pay dividends down the road for this team to know that, hey, you know what? When we're up against it, we can get it done against these guys.
And look, I know it hasn't officially come out yet, Gronk's status, but last night you win both the battle and potentially the war because that team's so banged up. You take away their #1 weapon. Not that it was done intentionally, but that's a huge loss for the Patriots if he's out for any amount of time.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear Patriot fans cry about, oh, this guy was at Ryan Clady's out. Peyton Manning was out. DeMarcus Ware was out. We're talking about Pro Bowlers missing key pieces to the puzzle. You had injuries. We had injuries.
Yeah, you lost Sly Williams. You lost TJ.
It's
Vasquez
late November. It's what happens in the NFL. And the teams that endure that or the teams that can survive that are the ones that usually go on to win.
And you know what? Most Patriots fans and the team actually is worried about last night's loss. Okay, they're 10-1. They lost in Denver on a snowy night in overtime. Okay, we're still the #1 seed. We can move on from this. They're more worried about losing Gronk than losing that game.
As they should be.
And that, to me, yeah. And Tom Brady's crying today on radio or last night, whatever, about the officials. None of that means anything when you hit the field.
Tom Brady gets more calls and he whines more than any quarterback. And look, the Broncos got some nice breaks. They really did, especially in that fourth quarter drive you mentioned. But that's all part of it. I mean, there were some breaks going the other way in the first half. I mean, there's breaks all the time. And I think what it boiled down to is that the Broncos executed when it mattered most. Brock Osweiler executed when it mattered most, and they got the win. I mean, it all balances out.
Signature win. Now headed to San Diego. Obviously, Peyton's not going to be ready. And the way we heard Gary Kubiak say today that we don't even know when the cast is coming off, and after that cast comes off, he still has to go through rehab. He's not walking, take the cast off and walk onto the field and start throwing balls.
Go out there.
I doubt that he's ready even for the Raiders game after the Chargers game. So I would almost guarantee we're seeing Brock for 2 more games for sure.
Well, and then you think
if you win both, there's no way you make the change back.
You can't rock the boat if Brock keeps winning. Peyton's cast comes off when Brock goes 0-2 and throws 6 picks. That's when his cast comes off.
And that's when he's healthy, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think this is, and look, maybe I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but this is a convenient situation for all parties.
Right.
I mean, the coaching staff doesn't have to make a decision because, hey, our guy's hurt.
He's hurt.
And, oh, by the way, our backup's playing great. Brock looks great. He's comfortable without having the pressure of a healthy Peyton Manning behind him.
Right.
And Peyton Manning has his, whatever, ego, heart, whatever you want to call it, in check because he's actually hurt. So it's not as if he's being benched. So I know that's pretty cynical, but it's a convenient situation.
Well, we're going to deal with that if.
Right.
And we don't
Right
have
now,
to
we don't
until
have to deal with it.
occurs.
And that's the beauty of it because Peyton's off doing his thing. Meanwhile, we've got Brock Osweiler under center, and he's leading the Broncos to victories.
And if they keep running the ball like they did last night, then that's the key.
Yeah. Do you think that the under center makes that big of a difference in the run game?
I do. Yeah.
I do.
I mean, from every expert that you hear, whether it's a quarterback or whether it's an offensive coordinator, whether it's Kubiak telling us that under center, and CJ has said it as well, that you get an extra step or you get a push. In the pistol, it's just a different feel for the running back. So I think from everything I've seen, yeah, it makes a big difference having the guy under
certainly
center.
was last night. I mean, they ran the ball great.
Well, this offense, no question, has been a different animal with Brock under center. I think the playbook is completely opened up. And, I'm having fun watching this.
Oh, it was a blast.
And no knock on Peyton, but the first 8-9 weeks, we're on pins and needles. Where is this pass going? I didn't have that sensation last night. I felt like we had a guy who was in command.
All right, Doug, we're going to talk fantasy football now, as we do every week. The Broncos' top performer this week was C.J. Anderson.
No shocker there.
Yeah, far beyond anyone else on the team. He had 27 fantasy points, and then came Brock, was the Broncos' second best performer with 12 points.
That's right. Emmanuel Sanders, Ronnie Hillman each had 11. Bubba Caldwell with the big touchdown catch, 6. McManus and the Broncos defense came in with 5. Demaryius Thomas.
Oh, man.
Wow, rough game. Anybody seen his hands? Because I don't know where they were last night. He did make the catch when it counted.
In the fourth quarter.
Right? On that drive, key drive.
But overall,
wow. You're looking
12
at
targets and 1 catch, I think, or something.
It was awful. He's a bizarre player in that respect because he can go away all game and then he can make the game's biggest catch. Right. And it's just, watching him last night was frustrating. It was the body language, the routes. I mean, they did
it
was like a golfer with the yips. I mean, you don't even want to be next to him. You're like, just stay away from me with that thing.
It was bizarre. And I love DT. He can really play, and he can make big plays, but wow.
It wasn't his night.
Bizarre night.
All right, let's check 3 quarterbacks around the league made the top 5 performers here. Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson came through. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Wilson's great day helped elevate Seahawks receiver Doug Baldwin. And Adrian Peterson with the Broncos rounded out the top 5 performers. And thousands of you talk about performing, playing our Pro Football Challenge and predicting the winners of each game for local prizes. Doug, are you playing?
I'm playing fantasy football. Okay. I have not entered that contest.
Get in.
You should.
Not too late. Because look who's waiting on top of the station's leaderboard right now.
So can I catch you guys if I just join in?
Who knows, man. Please.
Sounds like sandbagging.
Yeah, you can do it weekly. You can win weekly.
Okay.
So overall, you may be a bit behind.
Okay, that's fair.
Crazy week, but hey, we've had a couple players who did relatively well, including Lionel. Birdie Girl, Red Brown, Big Chimpin, Player Moore, and Serena, 23, 12 points.
Wow.
This was kind of a goofy. The Thanksgiving games were the ones that threw me off, LB.
All right, yeah, but as we talked about just now, it's not too late to get in, compete for weekly prizes. Go to thedenverchannel.com and click on contests. You can also have Aaron try to pronounce your name live on the Orange and Blue Review.
Good luck with that.
That's the best prize ever, right?
Yeah.
I got to get in that. But it's to me, it sounded like you guys were my poker friends saying, "Oh, sure, Doug, come on
bring
and
your
play."
wallet. There's an
bring
ATM.
it.
Go get more money.
Yeah, ATM is right around the corner.
Right.
What's up next for our Broncos? The Chargers.
Yep,
And guess who's
Chargers
rounding
and
into
Raiders,
form?
so-
Phillip Rivers, 4 touchdown passes yesterday. We know this team's difficult in San Diego. It seems to me that they always kind of rise to the occasion when the Broncos come to town. Same story this week.
I mean, Phillip Rivers is the guy, and it would be unfair to say he has the Broncos number, but he always plays well against the Broncos.
Oh, Phillip.
I think that's fair to say over the course of his career, and he comes in and shakes things up.
I'm looking forward to that Steelers game in Pittsburgh. That's a huge test. And then
Cold
the Bengals
snow.
coming here on Monday Night Football, another primetime game. So, look, it's going to be a great ride, and still things unsettled. They're, 9-2 right now. Number 2 seed right behind. They're in perfect position. So we'll see what happens. But let's take it week to week. Chargers next week. Brock gets a start. Let's go into San Diego, and then we'll talk again on Monday.
You don't
That's
want
right.
to talk about Brock running the table just yet? You're a week-to-week
I'm a week to
cliche
week.
guy.
I'm day to
One
day. I'm
day
hour
at
to
a time.
hour most of the times.
Yeah.
Cast to cast.
All right, Doug. Hey, Snow Angels, what's the deal?
Yeah, next Saturday, you guys going to come?
Probably not. I don't know.
Saturday
Yes,
the 12th?
the answer.
Saturday the 5th.
Saturday the 5th. It's
I'm working, but I'm
little get
expecting
together,
Lionel
Mile High
to go.
Spirits, issue release party.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys will have.
Is this one of your most popular issues of the year?
Yeah, go figure, right?
All right.
I'll bring you guys a copy.
All right. You
Thanks,
can
Doug.
appreciate it,
You
man.
can tell me if it's good articles and things of that nature.
Great article.
All right, Doug Ottewill from Mile High Sports again. Thanks, Doug. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks.
Nice work, brother.
Good
That's
win.
it for
Happy
the Orange
Monday.
and Blue Review. Aaron,
Good to have you back in the
I
chat.
want to kind of dap up those pants. But
We'll come up with
I'm
something
not sure
next
about
week
the
for this
sweater.
man.
For now.
I think it maybe makes me look a little chunky.
Really? Chunky? You?
Well, just because it's winter.
Need the different stripes. We'll work on that.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Monday. Have a great week.